Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I've done Italian. In fact, the last video was in March or April, I think, last year. And so we're come back to a new course, a new program, B1. The last playlist had A2 videos. In fact, I know it's a huge gap. That's actually because when I finished the A2 course, that was in April, that's when I took the exam. April or May, I think, I don't remember. But anyway, we're supposed to have a B1 course the same year, 2023, but that didn't happen. They didn't have enough students at the time, but then they did in January of this year, which is 2024. And so I began that program, and we're actually almost done. Funnily enough, the B1 program for Italian, that was also just 4 months. So January to April 27, in fact. So we're almost done with the course at university, but I'm just now starting to really intensively study. Of course, I studied during lessons in class, but you need to do your exercises and things like that, of course. So here we begin with B1 Italian. It's definitely less workload compared to, I still remember when I did B1 German, that was a lot, but we also had literature and just generally, we had like 4 papers of 100 marks each, and that was really, really stressful. There was a lot of stuff we were doing, but B1 Italian is comparatively lighter in terms of workload. At the university, we just have this one book and that's it. We don't really have to, there's no focus on literature or things like that. Not at all. Which is like, okay, it's neither good nor bad. In any case, I think at this level you start to understand that Italian is not in fact an easy language. A lot of people think, oh, it's so easy, and it can seem easy, especially in the beginning, right? Because you look at all these words and you see, lingua, or, well, of course, this is like, comunicazione, the words like this, they're very similar to words in English because, of course, English has Latin roots. Of course, so does Italian. So in the beginning, it seems very easy and you feel like I'm making so much progress. And of course, as a language that doesn't have cases, right? You have cases in German, Russian, Hungarian, Finnish, etc., etc. But you don't have that in Italian, French. And so it seems very easy. You feel very confident in the beginning because you can make sentences and you don't even have to think much. Even the words, even the words seem easy. Vocabulary seems easy to acquire. But when you reach the end of an A2 program in Italian, I think that's really when I realized this is really not a piece of cake. And now I'm starting to, I'll show you, in fact, this file. I have been studying, I just didn't live stream it because I wanted to start properly. So here, what I'll do is I'll show you. Okay, I'm going to do my exercises here so you can see. I actually made a huge list. Well, I didn't make a list. I found it online. If you go online and you search for Anki 5,000 words Italian, you'll find the same list. And so this list was actually 5,000, some 6,000 words long, I think, almost, because I took words from Nuovo Espresso 3. I took all those words from the vocabulary section and I put them here. So I spent quite some time, learning all these words. So I've learned so far about 2000, yep, 857, and I still have about 2600. But you don't need to learn all these words for B2 level. It's just I thought that I would have an easier time if I had a bigger vocabulary. So anyway, that's that. So that's what I've been doing. But then we also have, yeah, let me show you this chart right here. So this is something I made just because I prefer making my own charts for conjugation. But you see how many tenses and moods there are? There are 15 tenses and moods in Italian. Compare that to 6 tenses and moods in German. And people say German is a difficult language. No way. In the beginning, it is because you have all these cases that you don't have in Italian, French, and of course, you don't really have them in English either. So it's strange when you get to this stage, you realize there is quite a lot to do. This chart, I might just make the PDF available. The ones in gray, you don't need them at the B1 level. That's why I've grayed them out, so I don't have to stress out about that right now. And the ones in purple, these are the only forms you need to learn, because these are tempi semplici. So you have simple tenses and you have compound tenses. Compound tenses just have two parts, like, for example, sei stato. You see, there's two words, sarei stato, two words. So you really, because it's just the past participle, sarei plus stato. There you go. You made your passato, or even tra passato, prossimo, all these, the ones in white. You don't necessarily have to learn them, because it's just the, present or imperfect plus the participle form. So yeah, this if you look at it this way, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's still a lot. Yeah, so there's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, there's 8 tenses and moods you really need to learn, because the others are just formed with the past participle. In fact, let's make that 7, because you don't have to learn the gerundio presente. I mean, it's just avendo. That's it, just one word. So you don't necessarily have to learn it. And of course, abbia here is the same for these 3. In fact, I was looking at this and I spent a lot of time working on this thing. And then I came up with this little trick, mnemonic, whatever you want to call it. But you see how the first 3, right? Italian is it's a very melodic language. There's this stress on it has to sound good. It has to sound harmonious, right? And so you'll see it's always, the first 3 are always OIA. You'll notice that. Not always, because of course passato remoto, by the way, this is a very rare tense. You only find it in like books and stories and stuff like that. So passato remoto is really not used so commonly, so you won't really encounter it frequently. You won't have to use it frequently, but like, in older books and stuff like that. So yeah, but I'm talking about the regular ones. You see how it's OIA, almost always OIA, right? OIA over here, O with the accent, of course, IA. So this is kind of like a nice, neat little trick to remember. Here as well, somewhere OIA, even in the imperfetto, OI, sometimes it's E, like here, sarebbe. And then you have the others, noi, voi, loro. And these usually take these endings. Whether it's, amo, emo, but you have emo, right? And so that is kind of something you remember. Mostenoro. This is a little mnemonic I came up with, because you'll see voi always has a TE ending. It could be STE, it could be without the STE, is really just in the condizionale. So mostly it's TE, whether it's, ATE or ETE, but you have the TE. So this kind of helps you, because okay, this is the kind of ending that the a verb needs to have. And the last one is usually, it's either ano or it's ero. Ero, ano, ero, ano. You see how, so this little thing, if I just remember this, OIA or E, sometimes it's E, you can see over here. You see over here. So I know it looks confusing, maybe even frustrating. But you should make your own charts like this, because not as a reference really, but as an exercise in helping you understand. I must have spent hours on this, but now I finally have a little, if you want to call it a trick, if you want to call it a mnemonic, whatever it is, but it helps me to kind of make sense, because there has to be, right? There has to be some kind of sense, some kind of logic to grammar. And it takes me a long time actually to understand grammar, but once I get it, I get it. But it takes a long time to get there. Like, I just learned this thing. Let me make a schedule. There's my schedule. This is what I need. So I just learned I pronomi combinati. And in class, I really struggled with this topic that you see here. But once I learned it, it was like, wow, this is easy. This is not difficult at all. So yeah, I still have all these grammar topics to work on, but we'll work on them together. In fact, that's what I was supposed to do, but I started yapping as I always do. So yeah, welcome back to the Italian program. We're going to go through this book, Nuovo Espresso 3. This is B1, and let's start with the first one. Maybe I'll finish it today. Maybe I won't. Let's see, because it's like 4:27 a.m. and I tend to start late. But anyway, so this, the first chapter is usually just kind of a little revision type thing of what you've done in A2 in the previous course or book or program. So let's see. Here's the themes in grammar. Here's the skills you need to have. The first page of any chapter is always just vocabulary. You could write that down. One thing that I find now, some words are of course very simple. Let me just get the note. Okay, great. So autentico, of course, that's authentic. Like, you don't even need to think about it, right? Because it's so easy. I mean, I'm not going to write all of these down. Vocabulario, of course, that's vocabulary. Memoria, these are easy. Irregolare, regola. But maybe you don't know what regola means. So what do? You go onto this website, yeah, Wiktionary, and you go there and you just type down over here. The great thing about Wiktionary is it gives you, okay, let me change the language because it's much easier to see. Okay, so here's the word, and I mean, regola is okay because, well, rule, regola, okay, they're very similar, so it's not like difficult. However, you will see that where does this word come from? It comes from Latin, and so you go to this page and you learn more about where does this word come from. Okay, rego is rule, and rule, rego, okay, they look very similar, don't they? In fact, this reminds me of the German word Regierung, Regierung, which means government. It makes so much sense, doesn't it? And so regola is, well, it's a rule. And so, yeah, there you, so, when you spend a little bit of time on a website like Wiktionary, it helps with learning vocabulary. Like, if you look at this file that I made, I've made some strange, funny, weird mnemonics, but they make sense to me. For example, if I write Latin, that just means that, okay, sentence, sentenza, that's like the same word, just Latinized. But here, for example, okay, cravate, that's a French word. Here it's, of course, la cravata, Italianized. So your knowledge of existing, other languages, your existing knowledge of other languages can help you. Here, for example, if you look at, okay, here, some of these are very interesting. Look, thumb. I could not remember the word for thumb because it's not similar to the English word. So I went to Wiktionary, and okay, il pollice. So, okay, it's, of course, it's a thumb, it's on your hand, and your thumb is right next to your pointer finger, right? So, pointer finger, you have the first two letters, P-O, po, and you think, okay, thumb, what's the word for thumb? Wait a second, it's right next to my pointer finger, pollice. So to me, it makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but that's how I learn words that are not very obvious. Like, gravity, gravita, that's very easy. It's the same word, basically. So that's easy to learn. But here, for example, the skull, it's not, sculla or something like that. Not something very obvious, right? The word is teschio. And so, okay, well, I went to Wiktionary. I looked up the etymology. Etymology is, where does this word come from? What are the roots of this word? In many English words have roots in Latin or Greek, or French or German, etc. Of course, English is kind of a mix. So learning, well, you don't actually have to learn, but even if you just spend a few seconds, you get to discover some really interesting roots. So where was I? Okay, so this, for example, okay, so how do I learn the word skull? It's not, the same thing as skull, but Italianized, like scala, school. It's not that. It's another word, teschio. Teschio and skull, they don't look like they have anything in common with each other. It's not like gravity and la gravità. I mean, they're different. what's that? Teschio and skull, they're different. So what do I do? Okay, I know head is testa, and then I've got skull, the sk sound. That is similar, right? Skull, teschio, sk. Okay, they're similar. So I remember, okay, testa is head, and what's inside your head? Your skull. So teschio. There we go. So it takes a little bit of time, of course, like a few minutes. That's it. It's just a few minutes per word. But when you learn it this way, it really sticks in your memory, right? Especially for words that are not so obvious. Like, for example, ceiling. It has ceiling, soffitto. It has nothing. Again, it's not easy like gravity, gravita. It's not easy like that. So what do we do? Okay, well, I went to the Wiktionary page, and I just put this word in, and I thought, okay, suffix, because that was the root of this term. And I'm thinking, suffix, ceiling, a suffix is something that you add, right? You add to the end. So in a way, if you think about it, the ceiling is on top of you and you're adding things to the ceiling, right? You paint your ceiling or you have lights or a fan, whatever you have there. So that process of thinking, forcing your brain to come up with these things, that can be really helpful. And that, because your brain is making connections and that's how you learn. So no matter how ridiculous, funny, weird, strange, nonsensical it seems, right? It's in fact that much better. There was another word, lungia. Now I know the word. Okay, let me just find it over here. Lungia. Yeah, lungia, nail or claw. And there's a word in another language that is very similar to ungia, and it means finger. And so I'm like, okay, that helps me figure it out. So other languages that you already know can play a big role. Let me see here. This is pretty similar. Okay, might between. I know that the word for between in Italian is tra or fra. You can use tra or fra either way. But when I think, okay, intermediary, somebody who, intervenes on behalf of two people or two parties or one party. And then my mnemonic is might. Well, a mite is an insect. But I'm just looking at the word might, not the meaning. Might between. Oh, tramite. Oh, great. There we go. Tra, because tra means between. And then you have the word might. A might between, an insect between two things. And there you go. That's how I learned the word for sunset. Tramonto. And how do I learn it? Because tra, I know tra means between, and monto is similar to mountain, isn't it? And just imagine there's two mountains and there's a sun setting between mountains. Tramonto. There we go. So you can, in fact, if the idea seems interesting to you, because I know learning vocabulary can be boring. For the longest time, I used to use Quizlet, which I like. It's great because you can use it on your phone. But the problem is that at this level, for example, I had maybe like I don't know, 1,500 something words, 1,200 words, right from the book, Nuovo Espresso 3. And so then making, a set of flashcards that's like 1,000 words and then reviewing it, too much time, confusing. I couldn't easily just get rid of the words I already learned. So now I prefer using Excel, Google Sheets, because I can just, for example, I know this word, I can just copy paste it and move it to learn. So I don't have to, look at that word again. I can save time, energy, etc., etc. So the tools that you use can vary, depending on if I had just 15, 20 words to learn, I would put that in Quizlet. Then it's pretty easy too. But if I have like a huge list, then I find Excel is a lot more comfortable just generally for use. So that's right. I was kind of getting to another point here, but if that, so looking at let's pick a random word. I know this is kind of like you can skip ahead, of course. I'll start with the chapter, but I just wanted to, because this is how I find that words really stick in your brain. Like, I will never forget tramonto because I made that image in my mind. There's two mountains and the sun is setting between, so tramonto, and that's so cool. So let's pick a random word from this list that I haven't learned. Some words are quite tricky, like. And so just looking at them, I cannot remember them. I have to find some kind of explanation. Let's say, this is also archivio, it's the same in Latin. So let's not pick something easy, let's pick something difficult. Maybe tronco, that's too easy. Classifica, that's too easy. Efficace is also pretty easy. Francamente, no, that's too easy. Let's pick something a little bit difficult. A lot of these words, as you can see, they're just the same. Okay, let's take, for example, la targa. I want to learn this word. Targa has nothing in common with plate, license plate. Nothing in common. It's a completely different word. So I go here to Wiktionary and I look up targa because I want to find out where does this word come from. So I go here and then I click on Italian. Then I look at, okay, so it doesn't come from Latin. It comes from Frankish. Okay, targa is shield. But what does that have to do with, there you go. Look at that. Targa can even mean target. Okay, so there's many meanings of the word targa. Can be a plate, license plate, nameplate, plaque, signboard, many things. So let's kind of try and figure out a way to make this stick. Now, I don't know Frankish. In fact, that's a minority language. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, why would they have... Anyway, okay, so targa can mean shield. It can mean a license plate. Okay, let me figure out a way to help myself remember this word. So let's create a mnemonic. Targa. Now I know macchina is the word for car, and of course license plates are related to cars, so maybe that can be something that I, use here. Maybe. Let me see. Macchina, targa. They don't have anything in common. Benzene, petrol, nothing in common. But tar is similar to car. It kind of rhymes, doesn't it? So car plates. So I've got, okay, tar, and now I need to figure out something to remember ga with. It's a little bit of a complicated process, but your brain is working really hard while you're doing this. So, and that's going to strengthen that connection, because once you figure out how to remember targa, you will not forget it, right? So, okay, let me see. Okay, targa, tar, car, they rhyme, so that little bit is easy. Okay, plate, targa, is GA some kind of symbol? GA, because I think it's some kind of chemical symbol. I don't know. Gallium. Well, no, that's useless for me. I thought it was like silver or something. I'm not very good at chemistry, of course, so I wouldn't know that silver is Ag. Oh, there we go. Silver is Ag, and you have silver plates, don't you? Well, that's like a very uncommon thing nowadays, but Ag is the symbol for silver, right? If I'm not wrong. GA is just the opposite of that. So in a way, car plates, silver, silver symbol reverse. There we go. I know it sounds so silly, right? Star, silver symbol reverse, that's GA instead of AG. Targa, okay. Sounds weird, sounds strange, sounds funny, but that strangeness is what causes words to stick in your brain. Now, if you come back next week and I ask you, hey, what's the Italian word for nameplate, license plate? You might remember that, oh, she had this very weird explanation. Okay, car and tar, they rhyme. Okay, tar something. What was that? Silver, tar silver, that doesn't mean, no, targa, tarag. Oh yes, targa, great. So, targa. So I was thinking I could maybe, because I know vocabulary is difficult to learn, but it's so important. but it can be boring to learn, right? Especially if you're learning it by yourself. So I thought maybe I could make a little live stream once a week, twice a week. I don't know. I can't commit to it right now. But, if you let me know what you prefer, I could do like, maybe like a stream where we take the most common words, of course, to help you. We'll go through a huge list. Maybe we'll take the same list and we'll just go through it. Like maybe, I don't know, 50 words or something like that. And we just, I make mnemonics live so you can, listen. You can just listen. You don't even have to watch the video. You can just, when you're doing your other work, you can just put the video on and you can learn vocabulary like that, because I'm building all these funny, weird, strange associations. In fact, that's kind of why I'm sure you've used apps like Duolingo. That's kind of why they use funny sentences. They talk about the bear grabbed my ice cream and stuff like that. Why do they use sentences that are so strange? You're never going to say the bear stole my ice cream in real life unless you live in bear country. But they use weird sentences because it helps these words, associations, etc. to really stick. So that's really beneficial. Okay, so, well, enough yapping. That's kind of always an issue with me, the yapping. Okay, well, it's been half an hour. I think we should get started with this. Okay, so there we go. So here we have a bunch of words. You just need to memorize, of course, memory, irregolare, irregular, traduzione, translation. Starnutire can be a bit of a strange word. This just means to, if I'm not wrong, this means cough. Let's find out. Soffiarsi is when you have a cold and you sniffle. That's starnutire is sneeze, not cough. I keep getting that. But sneeze, starnutire. Okay, you have the beginning letter. That's the same. So this is a sneeze. I'm not gonna go into the etymology right now because that would kind of really extend, the whole thing. But if you want me to, I can. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for comments, whatever makes you, whatever makes it more helpful for you. Because of course you're here to learn, and your feedback will, help me. So pianta is of course plant. It even looks similar. Iscriversi is to register yourself somewhere. Genero can be son-in-law, but it can also mean type. Yeah. There's actually two meanings if I'm not wrong. In fact, there's this Genero is a son-in-law, right? Yeah, son-in-law. There we go. But it can also mean etymology too. And oh, okay. Well, okay. So we're looking at Italian. There we go. So yeah, son-in-law. That's son-in-law. Lezione is translation. Soffiarsi, indigente is of course indecent. Some of these are incidente culturale is cultural incident, imbarazzato is embarrassed, irregolare is regular. Soffiarsi il naso is when you sniffle instead of, and it's considered rude too, soffiarsi il naso. I'll just show you the term. Blow one's nose. Oh. Huh, then what is... That's weird, because I was pretty sure that... Let me see. Is it... Huh, okay, well... Then what is... Die Nase hochziehen? I thought it was the same thing. But anyway, that's good to know. So anyway, that's blowing your nose. There is, when you don't blow your nose and you just sniffle. So what's the term for sniffle? We'll find out. I use... Oh, it's English. I don't know why it doesn't. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Another thing I like to do is to go on to dict.cc. It's a great source. I have it right here. The great thing about this website is it shows you the most commonly used words. And so what you do is you select your language first. There we go. And then I search. Sniffle, no results. Okay. That's weird. Maybe it's not that well developed, but it's a really good resource because you can see, let's say let's pick for example pour. Let's take the word pour. That's a verb. So you can see English to Italian. Okay, so you can see colare, versare. This is for metals. This is for what's this? Qualcosa. Okay. So you can see, well, here you don't have a lot of words, but if you had, for example, let's take the word trust. There's only like two or three anyway. But usually, maybe they just have a bigger, vocabulary for German. Because when I used this website for German, they had lots and lots of options, and they would rank the options based on how common they were. So ideally, you want to choose the most common word, especially when you're just learning in the early levels, let's say. But yeah, let's take for example water. There's many kinds of water. Here, for example, right? You see this number 274. The higher the number, the more common a word is. So that helps. There's many kinds of waters, of course. There's drinkable water, there's all these, but it's just aqua, and then you have the adjective. So, yeah, somehow they don't have a lot of. That's weird. Maybe it's not as well developed for Italian. Okay, it's the beta version. Well, I don't want the beta version. Oh, okay, that's why they have fewer entries. Well, anyway, it's still a great website, and they show you the forms and everything. So yeah, back to that's pretty much it. I'm not writing every single word, but if you want me to, just let me know. I'm just trying to save a little bit of time. That's it. Passato is embarrassed. Okay, anyway, so the first one here, let me just get the settings of this, just a sec. Okay, I just had to get some water. Right, so imparare l'italiano è com'è. Rifletti sulle tue conoscenze dell'italiano e segna il numero corrispondente alla tua competenza per ogni abilità, collegando poi i punti con una linea. Infine, controlla il tuo schema con quello di un compagno. So, just an estimate. What do you think? How good are your skills in reading, speaking, writing, grammar, and listening? This is just a little classroom activity. It's not important for learning. It's not exam relevant. Here you have, secondo te, cosa dovresti fare per migliorare i tuoi punti deboli? What should you do according to you to improve your, weak areas? Ascoltare dialoghi autentici, listen to authentic dialogues. I do this. I listen to podcasts and I understand almost everything. Let's say 80% or so, which was good because I feel like there's not that much content online for Italian. By content, I don't mean learning content. I just mean like content, like YouTube stuff, videos and channels and yeah. Anyway, leggere articoli di giornale, read newspaper articles, leggere testi letterari, literary texts. So larger texts or books and stuff like that, but like good quality books. Leggere ad alta voce, read loudly. Ascoltare canzoni e cantare, listen to music, songs, and sing. Guardare video, film, TV, etc. Listen to watch videos and films, etc. Scrivere in italiano su Facebook, write in Italian on Facebook. Imparare parole a memoria. Learn words by heart, a memoria. Parlare il più possibile, speak as much as possible. Fare esercizi di grammatica. Do grammar exercises. I would say I have to do all of them. Ora completa questo testo scegliendo dalla lista le analogie che preferisci e creandone altre nuove. Make some others. This is just a classroom activity. It's a warm-up activity. In fact, the first page, you can almost always skip in any course book. It's just like, because a course book is not supposed to be used alone, actually. It's supposed to be used in a classroom, so naturally. But anyway, you don't need it. It's not exam specific. But any writing practice. For example, scrivi il tuo nome per whatever your name is. Per me, Imparare l'italiano è com'è, learning Italian is like, and then 3 analogies. So an analogy is like when you compare one thing to another. For example, learning Italian. What is learning Italian like? Well, of course, it's learning a new language, but think about it in broader terms. For example, it's like discovering a new world. So, of course, you write that in Italian. It's a tiny bit of writing practice. You could do, for example, è come scoprire. Oops. Okay. So a world is mondiale. Okay. Nuovo mondiale. Now, my skills are very rusty. I haven't done any Italian in a year almost, so I'm just gonna Google and I'm gonna check if it makes sense. E come scoprire un nuovo mondiale? Okay, I think this is correct, but I could be wrong, so let's just check. Okay, I used the adjective form. Gosh, that's crazy. Un nuovo mondo. And maybe I can make that red, but whatever. I don't care. I'm not gonna look at this again. However, so I mean, when I used to I guess if you've watched other videos, you probably also know that I used to mark things previously. I don't do that now, honestly, because it's okay to make a mistake. But I mean, for me personally, it would be like too much, just too time consuming to mark every single thing, come back to it and all that. No, I'd prefer to just get at this stage, like once you pass A2, that's just my belief. I mean, it's what works for me. So once you pass A2, I think you should really start consuming content, native content, not content that is specifically made for people who are learning. Because of course that is helpful. However, when you're just starting, like if you're doing A1, A2, you're just a beginner. So of course you need content that is slow, that uses simple language, simple grammar, because that not just helps you learn, but it also makes you feel confident. And when you feel confident, that's when you feel like, okay, I feel good. I'm doing well. I should continue. Because if you don't feel confident, if you feel like, oh, I don't get it, this doesn't make sense, then you won't feel motivated to continue, right? But I think once you pass an A2 exam, you really should start looking out for content online. In the beginning, it's always sorry. In the beginning, of course, it's always tricky and a little bit confusing. That's normal. Sorry, I don't know what's happened to my throat. So, in the beginning, when you listen to a podcast, watch a video, read a book, read even an article online, even if it's a newspaper, it is, of course, tricky. There's lots of things that don't make sense because A2 level is just being able to survive, asking for direction and making a reservation, stuff like that. So there's many little tiny things that you don't really get, but the problem is that there's a lot of nuances in any language that you won't get unless you start reading, listening, watching content. And by that I mean lots of content. Because the kind of confidence that I had when I was taking my B1 German exam, I don't have the same confidence right now. And of course that's my own fault because I haven't really consumed as much Italian content. I am trying to, especially now. I listen to a lot of audio, which is great. That helps a lot. But there's also, I just find that there's not as much content in Italian as there is in French, German, Russian, etc. There's just so much content out there in these languages, right? And online, people's participation from actual native speakers, there's just fewer people. And, it's not like the most popular second language. It's not like French where you have like so many people learning, or even English or Chinese, Russian, etc. So, well, yeah, and when you have less content and then you have your own, I mean, maybe you like learning about technology, maybe I like true crime, whatever. You need to have, a good variety of content that you like. So that's kind of there's definitely a gap compared to how I felt when I was taking my B1 exam for German and how I feel right now. But we still have a month before my exam, so of course I will improve within that time. But yeah, enough yapping. Let's go back. Nuovo mondo. That is correct. Okay. that's fine. What else? È come avere un'anima nuova. Or un nuova anima. I don't know. Actually, can I use nuova like this? Like having a new soul? Well, not new, but you know, un'anima altro. Another soul. Yep, or another spirit. That's another term as well. This is just a little mind exercise. It's not exam relevant, so don't worry. Un'anima altro. Because it's una anima, but then you have una anima. That sounds so weird. It doesn't sound very nice. That's why you have the apostrophe. Anyway, then we go on to the next page. Lavora in plenum, which means you work in a group with the entire class. Ognuno legge le proprie analogie. Everybody reads what they wrote on this page. Tu scrivi qui sotto quelle che ti piacciono di più. You write down which analogies from your classmates you liked the most. So of course this is not exam relevant. So let's go down. Now here we've got some audio. So we're going to listen to some audio and we're going to mark. And of course the great thing is you always have this transcript. So you can always look at it. But yeah, let's listen to the audio first. I'm going to see, is my desktop sharing audio? Yes, it is. Great. Okay. Let me play the first audio. For that, I'll have to actually find the audio because I just downloaded it and I don't know where it is. Okay, great, I found it. Do I have to extract the audio? No. Okay, number 1. Perfect. Let me play the tape.
Lezione 1. Traccia 2.
Ma Roberta, anche tu qui?
Già, devo studiare il cinese per lavoro, almeno per riuscire a comunicare qualcosa.
Sì, le lingue diventano sempre più importanti.
Ma a che ora comincia la lezione?
Tra 10 minuti.
Allora andiamo a prendere un caffè al bar qui sotto. Ti va?
Sì, certo.
E tu? Perché vuoi studiare il cinese?
Ma vorrei fare un viaggio in Cina e prima di partire mi piacerebbe imparare un po' la loro lingua.
Bello. E quando parti?
No, ancora non lo so. È solo un vecchio progetto. Pensa che mi ero già iscritto lo scorso anno a questo corso. Poi però ho fatto 2 lezioni e ho lasciato.
Oddio, era così noioso.
No, purtroppo il martedì dovevo lavorare fino a tardi e il corso era proprio quel giorno.
Ma avevi già pagato?
Sì, avevo pagato prima di iniziare, dopo la lezione di prova, ma mi hanno ridato indietro tutti i soldi.
Ah.
Sì, comunque...
I'll play that once more because I missed the beginning.
Lezione 1. Traccia 2.
Ma Roberta, anche tu qui?
Già, devo studiare il cinese per lavoro, almeno per riuscire a comunicare qualcosa.
Sì, le lingue diventano sempre più importanti.
Ma a che ora comincia la lezione?
Tra 10 minuti.
Allora andiamo a prendere un caffè al bar qui sotto. Ti va?
Sì, certo.
E tu? Perché vuoi studiare il cinese?
Ma vorrei fare un viaggio in Cina e prima di partire mi piacerebbe imparare un po' la loro lingua.
Bello. E quando parti?
No, ancora non lo so. È solo un vecchio progetto.
Lezione.
Okay, one thing I forgot is before you do a listening activity, you really should just look at your questions and answers. We do that in class, we do that all the time. But here I just started playing without really thinking. Okay, I'll play it once more.
1. Traccia 2.
Ma Roberta, anche tu qui?
Già, devo studiare il cinese per lavoro, almeno per riuscire a comunicare qualcosa.
Sì, le lingue diventano sempre più importanti.
Ma a che ora comincia la lezione?
Tra 10 minuti.
Allora andiamo a prendere un caffè al bar qui sotto. Ti va?
Sì, certo.
E tu? Perché vuoi studiare il cinese?
Ma vorrei fare un viaggio in Cina e prima di partire mi piacerebbe imparare un po' la loro lingua.
Bello. E quando parti?
No, ancora non lo so. È solo un vecchio progetto. Pensa che mi ero già iscritto lo scorso anno a questo corso.
Okay, and that ends it. Of course, the conversation continues, but the questions are done. So, yeah, ora iscald. Okay, now you check. Devo studiare il cinese per lavoro. She has to. Of course, they're like, oh, you're here as well? Yeah, I'm here as well. Why are you studying? Well, I'm studying because I wanted a trip, and the other person is studying because she wanted to work. So yeah, that's right. You have the dialogue right here, which is always great, which is always helpful. Not all textbooks have the transcripts in the course book. Sometimes you have to go and find the transcripts elsewhere, but that's great. This is so useful. You can also, what I recommend is any words you don't recognize or understand, you can just underline them, and you can, mark them or something like that if you want to add them to a file like this. Yeah, here for example, I pretty much understand everything. There's no words here that I don't understand. Let me see. Well, yep, there's pagato, lezione di prova. Okay, well, I understand everything here. Spagnolo, Parisian. Okay, that's it. Well, there's no words here that I don't understand, so I can just go down and look at the next thing that I need to do. Il trapassato prossimo. This is a new tense that you learn. You'll remember that in A2 you already learned the passato prossimo. So here we have tra passato prossimo. In fact, this is a pretty easy tense. It's not difficult, tricky, weird, confusing. Trapassato in any kind, because you have quite a lot of let me show you over here, right? So we have trapassato prossimo, you also have trapassato remoto, and you also have congiuntivo trapassato. You have 3 types of trapassato. The great thing is that the trapassato is made up of, and you'll see I've made some notes here, trapassato is made up of the imperfetto, which you would have learned in A2, imperfetto plus, imperfetto of avere o essere, because trapassato prossimo, just like passato prossimo, is a, well, they call it tempi composti, which is just a compound tense. Compound meaning there are 2 words, that's it. So just like passato prossimo is made up of 2 words, like for example, ho letto, or ho scritto, whatever, 2 words, right? So just like that, the trapassato prossimo is also 2 words. So it's a compound tense because there's 2 words. Tra really is, it's before this action. So trapassato really means before passato. Yeah. Trapassato, before passato. So when do you use passato prossimo? Well, passato prossimo is extremely common. We use that for almost, technically, I found out that there's a tense called, well, not this one. Where did it go? Yeah, passato remoto. So in English, you have, simple past. I ate, I drank, I swam, I cooked. English is kind of very easy in this sense. So you have technically that is the passato remoto, even though the name says remoto, and you think, ooh, that's gonna be, remote, the remote past. You think, oh, that's gonna be very, very, very far into the past, right? You would think that because it's called passato remoto, but you think, why is it called passato remoto? It doesn't make any sense that way because they don't use it. They don't use it for events in the far, far past. They don't. Passato remoto is in fact used for events that happened recently. But then the funny thing is that it's not really commonly used at all. In fact, people just use passato prossimo in speaking, especially super common in speaking. It's just like German in that sense. Because in speaking, you tend to use, even in writing for the most part, when you talk about the past, you just use passato prossimo. But you can use trapassato prossimo, especially when there are 2 actions and one action happened before the other action. So you have 2 actions, right? And so the action that happens first is tra, because it's, before, prima di prima, before the action. And that's it. So trapassato is really not difficult, tricky, confusing. Not at all. Not at all. Because trapassato of any kind, not just trapassato prossimo, but trapassato congiuntivo, trapassato remoto, all of these are formed using avere o essere in the imperfetto form. And imperfetto is the VO form. And condizionale has well, anyway, let's not talk about condizionale right now because that's a tricky one. But what was I saying? Okay, imperfetto is easy to remember because it's the one that has vo. Avevo, avevi, aveva, etc. So you use the imperfetto of avere o essere. You need an auxiliary verb, and then you just need the participle form. That's it. So trapassato is not difficult. Anyway, let's go back. Il verbo qui sottolineato è un trapassato prossimo. The verb that is underlined is trapassato prossimo. Rileggi, reread the dialogue e sottolinea tutti i verbi che secondo te sono nello stesso tempo. Verifica poi in plenum. So, just go back to the dialogue, underline all words that you think are in trapassato prossimo. What I'll do is I'll just underline because that's easier that way. I mean, I'll highlight, it's easier that way. I don't like yellow, I'll use pink. Ok, anche tu qui già devo studiare il cinese, almeno per riuscire diventano sempre... Nope, che ho cominciato tra 10 minuti, andiamo. Ti va, certo, studiare, vorrei fare prima di partire per imparare un po' la lingua. Ancora non lo so, è un vecchio progetto, pensa che well, ero actually just that. Well, in this case, of course, me is important because it looks so nasty. Let me just... I don't like how it... Oh, well, anyway, that's okay. Mi scritto. Well, iscriversi, because of course that's why you need the me. So, mi ero iscritto, and then what? Ho fatto is just... you see how mi ero iscritto? That happened first. I registered myself. Poi, after that, ho fatto, I did or I took 2 lessons. E ho lasciato, and then I left. So what happened first? Could I take any lessons without first having registered myself? No. Must I register myself? Yes, only then can I do the lessons. So trapassato is just what happens before passato prossimo. It's really easy to remember. Okay. So, era così noioso. Purtroppo il martedì dovevo lavorare fino a tardi. Il corso era proprio quel giorno. Avevi pagato. Remember, trapassato is made with imperfetto. The first word is going to be imperfetto. So that's another clue. Avevi, ero. So that's your clue. And the second one is always, to, uto, ito, ato, etc. The participio. Avevo pagato, right? Pagato, mi hanno ridato i soldi. Per quel poco che ho visto il corso mi era piaciuto. Is that... Well, you got era. Yep. Era divertente. Questo ho deciso di riprovare, per fortuna. Conosco l'inglese, poi conosco il francese, avevo studiato. There we go. So if you see imperfetto and then you see ato, ito, uto, that's your clue. That's trapassato prossimo. Ho imparato. That's passato. Because first, he studied French in school. And then he studied it with his wife. So first he studied French in school. That's why you have it in the trapassato. That happened before. There we go. Okay, and when I explain it this way, because I'm still learning as well, right? This is just a learning channel. I'm just live streaming because it helps me to stay focused. Like right now, for the past 1 hour, I've been focused instead of opening like 100 tabs and doing 100 other things. So when I explain, it helps me remember. It's kind of like learning with friends, Okay, well anyway, trapassato, I've done that, great. Come si forma secondo te il trapassato prossimo e quando si usa? Parlare in coppia e poi in plenum. So, how do you form the trapassato prossimo? Trapassato is formed using imperfetto for either, avere or essere, because you need the ausiliari. And then you have the, what is that? Participio. Well, participio passato. There you go. That's it. So that's easy to form. What I find is if you just, because avere and essere, they're so important in any language actually, German, French, same thing. So you need to know all these forms because once you learn these forms, then you've kind of fixed a nice chunk of your problems. At least for me, that was the case. So, okay, great. Do you speak Italian? Avevo già fatto dei corsi. Collega le frasi e coniuga tra passato, prossimo i verbi tra parentesi. So, you have some verbs in parentheses. You need to convert them into tra passato, prossimo. So, prima di trasferirmi a Parigi, I did something. First, I do whatever is in A, and then I, went to Paris. So uscire, you need essere, and essere is era. Oh, sorry, ero già uscito. I'm just gonna write all my answers down and then I'll check. Of course, I'll probably make some mistakes, and that's normal. Quando siamo arrivati al cinema, che something in prestito un mese fa. Quando siamo arrivati al cinema, che wait a second. Collega, is that, do I have to, I think I need to match. Yeah, of course. It's not like 1A, 2B, 3C. Okay. So let me just do the conjugation first because that's anyway the most important thing. Aveva. So it's in the first tense, right? No. Okay. Okay, first I need to join these. Okay. Quando sono arrivata in classe a passare lezioni, quando sono arrivata alla stazione. Yeah, I think like here for example, mio marito, io avevi, aveva, right? Già preparato. Go. Il film purtroppo cominciare. No, this is one that I think this will take essere because its form has changed. So I could be wrong, but let's see. Ero, eri, era già cominciato. Il treno era già partito. Partita? Is it partire? Yeah, well, anyway, I'll check later. Ok, ok, fai diverse cose francese. Prima di trasferirmi, so this is one C. Ok, so io avevo già fatto. Oh, there we go. Great. Because of course, avevo, ero, era, etc. This will depend on the person, right? Well, except if you have no, yeah, of course. Whether you use era, ero, eri, eravamo, eravate, erano, that depends on your subject. Of course, like if you have sono, and the thing is, arrivata, arrivati, that also plays a role. So yeah, if you have one of these verbs that have movement. So anyway, let me just fill this in first. So ci is done. Quando siamo arrivati al cinema, passare il film, great. G. Il film purtroppo era già cominciato. No, I ragazzi non li ho visti. Quando sono arrivato, okay, I didn't see the boys. Quando sono arrivata in classe, la lezione, I think this, yeah, la lezione era finita. Oh, is it hot? Yeah. Era finito. No, but it would be, if you take essere, then it has to match. Era finita, era cominciato, ma era finita, no? Because, stati. Let me check, because my knowledge is a bit rusty, but if you have essere, then the ending changes. It has to match the subject. But yeah, anyway, I could be wrong. I'll check my answers, of course. Ho guardato l'orologio e ho visto che D. Che, era passato un'ora. Ora era, ok, era passato già un'ora. E ieri sera, quando sono arrivata a casa, mio marito, yeah, this one matches. Great, sono andato in biblioteca per restituire i libri che, great, i libri che ho, wait, sorry, no, che avevo preso. I think it's, no. Prendere and perdere. These two have irregular endings. It's not I think it's preso. Actually, let me check. Avevo preso. Let me just Google it right here real quick. Preso. Yeah, that's right. Yay. Okay. So that word, oh, great, we're done. Great. So what I'll do is I'll just check my answers. Because you need to know if you, and making a mistake is the best way to learn. So we go down, we see the answers. Do I have the answers in this file? Yes, I think so. Let me check. We do great. Okay, so we've got video course. No, that's not what I need. Esercizi e test. Oh, lezione? No. I don't know why it says this. Okay, well, that's not what I'm looking for. No, where are the answers? They should be here. Maybe they're over here. Let's see. Well, that is strange. I could swear they have the answers here, but apparently they don't. How am I supposed to know if I made a mistake? Oh god. Okay, let me check. That's okay. Let me find. Okay, this isn't the right one. Video course, so that's not what I need. Well, this can't be right because can't be right. Now we're doing exercise 4. Exercise 4. No, this is not the right one. Okay, lezione 2, 3. And then you have a test. No, lezione 5. Okay, test. Yeah, there are exercises for each lesson, each unit, by the way, at the end. Right in this file. It's a great book, Nuovo Espresso. But where are the answers? That is so strange. Like, where are the answers? They're not there. Oh, I think they're in the teacher's guide. So what you do is you go to Alma Edizione. It's their website, and you can just register. It's free to register. You can get, let me show you somewhere over here. Oh, I'm not logged in here. Okay, so pagina non trovata. I'll show you where I'll give you the link. I'll actually add the link in the chat box. So you can, if you have the book, you can find out answers. Let me just get the link. Okay, corso Nuovo Espresso 3, vai alla scheda. Pagine, esercizi. Okay, there we go, I think. So if you go here, let me just Google that. Here, there we go. So here, you have to sign up with your email, and you'll see that there's all these options here. Esercizi online. By the way, they have more exercises online. It's a great resource. You have audio you can download for free. Then you have the glossary free. This is also free. Guida ebook. Well, they have an ebook if you want to buy it like this. You have to go to Blink Learning though. Anyway, you have some tests here, and you have Guida per l'insegnante. So here they have, in fact, the answers. Oops. Oh, and you have video corso and video grammatica. These are great. They're also, of course, free of cost. So definitely, get that. So I'm not logged in right now, like here on this page, but I am logged into another on the other browser. So I'll just get that real quick so I can check. Oh, great, I found the link. Perfect. I'll just paste the link right here so you can also see. This is the Guida per l'insegnante, teacher's book, basically. So you'll find answers here for sure. Of course, the whole thing is in Italian, so, but well, it's not like difficult to understand or anything. Great. So here we've got tra passato. Great. So here you see you have the answers right here. Okay, so avevo 1C. Let me just get the. I have so many tabs open. Anyway, ero già uscito. Eh? Wait a sec. C, avevo già fatto. Ok, C is avevo già fatto. Great, ok. G era già cominciato. G era cominciato. Great. Erano usciti. Did I not do A? Oh, because I didn't. You see, because, okay, I didn't do all of these. So, quando sono arrivati, I missed this one. Of course, that's why. But, you know, if it was io, then it would be fine. So, that's okay. It's not like wrong, but yeah, I wasn't paying attention. That's very typical for me. Era finita I. Era finita. Great. So, my knowledge was rusty, but I was right. Because era has to, la lezione femminile, you know, so it has to be finita. But if it was, for example, something else like il film, right, then it would be era finita. Sorry, finito, because of course it's masculine. If you're ever confused about how things work in Italian grammar, one thing you can always tell yourself is, does it sound nice? Does it sound harmonious? Because you'll always find, for example, loro, the conjugation for loro is almost always ends in O. It's either ano, ero, something like that. And then you have the main verb, and you can kind of mix and match and guesstimate, and somehow it works out most of the time. Okay, era finita. Okay, F era già partito. F era partito. Great. Aveva già preparato aveva già preparato, ok. Avevo preso B, avevo preso, great. Wow, ok. Era già passata. Wait, which one is that? D. Era già passata. D. Where is it? L'orologio. So orologio is femminile. I did not know that. Great, well, you learned something. Orologio, this is femminile, so I'll just write that down. So that would be, no, it's not, hold on. Un'ora, it's not about this. Okay. Un'ora era già passata. It's un'ora, which is, you know, the subject here. So, un'ora era già passata. Because if you have essere, then it has to match. Sounds nicer that way. So I put it in red. So if I ever look at this page again, which I probably won't, let's be honest. But when you make a mistake, it really helps you remember. Like the things that I remember very, very clearly are always things that I've messed up and then someone corrected me. So I love that. I love it when I get corrected. Anyway, intervista. Parla con un tuo compagno e chiedeli. Ask your friend, classmate sull'italiano perché studia l'italiano. Se l'aveva già imparato a scuola o da un'altra parte, se è contento dei suoi progressi. Se si è mai trovato in situazioni in cui non è riuscito a dire nemmeno una parola. You don't need all this. It's not exam relevant. It's just classroom activity, so you can skip that. There we go. Incidenti di percorso. Leggi i testi e abbinali ai 3 tipi di incidenti. Incidents, percorso, di percorso. Okay, well, that's something I don't know, so I'll figure out what di percorso means. Good, okay. Well, okay, what does incidenti? I know incidenti is okay, incidenti di percorso. Incidenti Oh, you can really trust DeepL, by the way. DeepL is a German company, so for German translations, it's of course great, perfect. However, for a lot of European languages, it's great. They only support a small number of languages, as you can see, but they're really good, high quality, appropriate translations. I never use Google Translate. Anyway, so the whole thing is great. So this is crashes or bumps in the road or hitches. It's a nice term. I'll in fact copy this and add that to my vocabulary list right here. So I can ideally like before, because right now it's the 6th of April. My exam's on the 4th of May. So I'm hoping to learn all these words as well, but you never know. Let's see how things happen. Crashes, hitches, bumps in the road, mishaps. Oops, why is this not selecting? Let me select the whole thing. Crashes. And then I add that right here. There we go. Okay, so that's good. Great. Okay. Good to have some more vocabulary. Ok, una volta in Brasile ero in un ristorante a tavola con amici. Ho starnutito e mi sono assoffiato il naso. I vicini hanno detto alla mia amica Rosalia, seduta di fianco a me, se poteva andare in bagno a soffiarmi il naso. In Brasile soffiarsi il naso in pubblico è considerata una cosa indecente. That's very common in a lot of countries. If you blow your nose in public, it's bad manners. But in most countries in Europe, if I'm not wrong, most, probably all, but well, I'm sure there are some exceptions, it's actually considered okay, normal, healthy to blow your nose in public. In fact, if you don't blow your nose and you just, do this kind of thing, it's considered rude. Okay, anyway. Marco, un mio amico ungherese, era a cena da amici italiani. C'erano molti parenti a questa cena e ad un certo punto ha chiesto ad un signore: Allora, lei è il Gennaro? No, ha risposto il signore. Io mi chiamo Alberto. Perché Gennaro? Il mio amico era un po' imbarazzato e ha chiesto: Non si chiama così il marito della figlia? Gennaro, Gennaro, if you don't pronounce it correctly, because Gennaro means son-in-law. And then this guy thought, oh, you're the son-in-law. So they got confused. Quando io e Valerio, un mio amico di Treviso, ci siamo incontrati, ci siamo abbracciati forte. Era da tempo che non ci vedevamo. Camila, un'amica cinese, ha pensato che io e Valerio avevamo una storia di amore. In Cina gli uomini non ci abbracciano, ci ha detto. Okay. Well, if you want me to translate it, let me know, but I'm just proceeding, moving ahead. Culturale linguistico. Culturale is A and C. I mean, this is not exam relevant, so whatever. Ok, differenze culturali. E tu? Hai mai notato differenze culturali quando sei entrato in contatto con persone di altre culture? Ti sono capitati incidenti culturali? Hai qualche aneddoto linguistico da raccontare? Capitato a te o ad altri? Pensa per alcuni minuti, poi parlare con un piccolo gruppo di compagni. Speak in the classroom. Have incidents like these ever happened to you or with you? Do you have stories to tell? Classroom bonding activity, but it's a speaking activity in a way as well, no? So it can be helpful. Non sono affatto d'accordo. Ascolta e metti una X sull'affermazione esatta. And let's listen to this one. This is number 3. Let me get the audio file. 3. There we go.
Traccia 3.
Scusa Paolo, posso?
Sì, entra, entra.
Senti, non è che per caso hai una grammatica?
Sì, guarda, dovrebbe essere lì, nel primo scaffale in basso.
Me la presti un attimo?
Certo.
Stavo scrivendo una cosa e mi è venuto un dubbio. Secondo te si dice l'appuntamento è a Piazza Dante o in Piazza Dante?
In Piazza Dante.
Allora vediamo. Qui c'è scritto che la forma corretta è in e che A è un regionalismo ormai accettato.
Sì, però dai, a piazza suona male.
Perché scusa? Suona male per te perché non lo dici.
No, suona male perché non si dice. E poi io trovo che le regole andrebbero rispettate.
Non sono affatto d'accordo. Secondo me è l'uso che fa la regola.
Ah, allora per te ognuno può parlare come vuole.
Non ho detto questo. Anche io penso che le regole servano, però non si può essere nemmeno così rigidi.
E certo. Poi però ci sono in giro persone come il nostro direttore che dicono a me mi piace. Orribile. Mi sa che prima o poi glielo dico che non si dice.
Ma io non sarei così categorica. E poi credo che ormai si possa dire.
You will do that again.
Traccia 3.
Scusa Paolo, posso?
Sì, entra, entra.
Senti, non è che per caso hai una grammatica?
Sì, guarda, dovrebbe essere lì nel primo scaffale in basso.
Me la presti un attimo?
Certo.
Stavo scrivendo una cosa e mi è venuto un dubbio. Secondo te si dice l'appuntamento è a Piazza Dante o in Piazza Dante?
In Piazza Dante.
Allora vediamo. Qui c'è scritto che la forma corretta è in e che A è un regionalismo ormai accettato.
Sì, però dai, a piazza suona male.
Perché scusa? Suona male per te perché non lo dici.
No, suona male perché non si dice. E poi io trovo che le regole andrebbero rispettate.
Non sono affatto d'accordo. Secondo me è l'uso che fa la regola.
Ah, allora per te ognuno può parlare come vuole.
Non ho detto questo. Anche io penso che le regole servano, però non si può essere nemmeno così rigidi.
E certo. Poi però ci sono in giro persone come il nostro direttore che dicono a me mi piace. Orribile. Mi sa che prima o poi glielo dico che non si dice.
Ma io non sarei così categorica. E poi credo che ormai si possa dire.
Okay, let's see if this is correct. Okay. No, see. Okay, well, I was wrong the first two. So I thought because she sees in the dictionary that a Piazza Dante is also an option, and then I thought she was confused. But it makes sense because she never refers to that, oh, I read this word in a book and I'm not sure. So yeah, that makes sense actually when you think about it. Ok, la donna non è convinta di una certa forma verbale. It's not a form. Yeah, I don't know why I chose C because she was talking about grammar. It's not that she's confused either, so not sure why I chose this. But anyway, and then we have the text here. Let's see if there's any words you don't understand. It's good to highlight them. For example, scaffale. I've seen this word before, but I don't really remember it. I was writing something and I was confused. Secondo te si dice l'appuntamento piazzante. Allora vediamo. Forma corretta. Suona male. That's it. There's no words that I don't understand. Okay. Well, that's that. La grammatica dovrebbe essere lì. Dovrebbe essere. Should be there. It's a new term in grammar, I think. Yeah, it's a new topic. Ci vediamo in Piazza Dante o a Piazza Dante. Il complemento di stato in luogo con... Oh, ok. Oh, well. So, centro meridionali, southern. So there they use instead of in. A lot of people say a me mi piace, which is technically wrong, but a lot of people do it. It's kind of a regionalism. Anyway, that's just some nice knowledge to have, but not exam relevant, so we go ahead. I think I'll pause here for now because I it's like 6 a.m. and I think I should sleep now. But we will continue from here. This was just, maybe we can, I don't know, should I continue? Because, no, I'm too tired. And when I'm tired, my brain doesn't work. So anyway, but this is actually pretty easy. I've made a list here. As you can see, I have a list of things I need to do. This topic, where did it go? Dovrebbe. Well, anyway, it's gone. I don't know where it went. Should be there, but it's not here. I don't know why it's not here. Dovrebbe. Oh, it should be here. Anyway, I'll write that down because you see how it's just this tiny thing, la grammatica dovrebbe essere lì, but you also have somewhere else that they've said dovrebbe essere. Dovrebbe essere. And you have another form. Somewhere over here. So anyway, so they don't really have much of an explanation for this here, but I'll probably find that later on. Anyway, for now I'm a bit tired, so I will stop the stream right here, but I will come back today or maybe like tomorrow for you, or if you're watching this a few days from now, I'll probably have a lot of videos up because I'm going to do a video every day until I finish the whole book. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Please leave some feedback, comments down below. What did you think? Is there something I could do to make it better for you? Would you prefer that I not do certain things, do certain things? Yeah, just let me know because I want this to be useful for you. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think of the idea for live streaming for learning vocabulary. Not just in Italian, in any language, of course, the other ones that I do as well, because I also find that learning vocabulary can sometimes be tricky, but if you're explaining or if you find, funny, interesting ways to think about it, like tramonto, I will never forget tramonto, between the mountains, tramonto. Anyway, right, so yeah, I'll leave you with that thought. Think about it, leave some comments down below. Let me know what kind of changes would you like to see, and if there's anything I can do to make the streams better, just let me know. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next video.